Good morning, Year 6, and welcome to Wednesday's maths lesson. Today we are going to carry on with our measures work, and we're going to look at reading, interpreting scales. So, for example, reading off a ruler, reading off a measuring cylinder, reading off a weighing scales to see how much of something, how long something is, how much something weighs, and how we know what the scale shows and which number exactly our line of liquid or our scale marker is falling on. Before we begin that, let's have a recap of yesterday's lesson. So yesterday we looked at converting measures between centimetres and metres and millimetres, kilograms and grams, and litres and millilitres. So pause the video here and decide whether these statements are true or false. Okay, here are your answers then, so hopefully you were right. That one was absolutely true and so was that one. Here we've got 60 millimetres equals 600 centimetres. It can't be right because a millimetre is less than a centimetre. So this person has times instead of dividing. The answer should be 6 centimetres. Here, 500 metres equals 5 kilometres can't be true because 1 kilometre is 1,000 metres. So this is only half or 0.5. This one is also false. 30 centimetres equals 3 metres. We know that 1 metre is 100. So 30 can't be more than 1. 300 centimetres would be 3, and so 30 centimetres we're dividing by 100, it would be 0.3, not even 1 whole metre. Let's have a look then at these intervals, these scales. So, have a look at this scale here. Think about what you know, so in other words, what numbers you've been given and what spaces you've got in between. And see if you can answer those 4 questions. So pause again and then come back for the answers. Okay, hopefully you will have noticed then that we started at 0 and we ended at 20. This question asks what number is halfway. We don't even have to worry about the scale to answer that question. What number is halfway between 0 and 20? It will be 10. Then for the others, you'll have to have realised how much each step, each interval is worth. And in this scale, it's super easy. Each one is worth 1. So we can just count up. This number here then would be 1, 2. This number here, it will be quicker to count back. So 19, 18, 17. And then this number here, we can count on from our 10, 11, 12. And it's just past 12. It's not quite halfway, so it's not going to be 12.5. Maybe 12.2, 12.3. I don't know if your estimate was something similar to that. Let's drill down on how we can work out what the interval is when it's trickier than going up in ones. So this is our scale here now. We've got 0 at one end and we've got 100 at the other end. Now there aren't 100 divides here. So each interval, which means each small jump, each little line on the scale, can't be 1 because we wouldn't reach 100. So how are we going to work out what the intervals are? So first of all, we need to find out how many intervals there are, how many small gaps. So if I just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there are 20 intervals, 20 small gaps between 0 and 1. 20 little dashes, 0 and 100, sorry, 20 little dashes. So we have to do 100, so 0 to 100 is 100, so we have to take that amount and we have to divide it by the number of intervals we've got. Okay, so that's 20. 100 divided by 20 is 5, so each jump, each interval is 5. The scale goes up in 5s, so 5, 10, 15, etc. Let's try and apply that here. So let's do it together. What do I know? If I'm trying to work out 0, what do I know? 0 to 100. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 gaps. Okay, 4 intervals. So I could write here, there are 4 intervals between 0 and 100. 100 divided by 4 equals 25. So each interval is worth 25 grams. Hopefully that made sense to you. Pause the video now count up in 25s and see if you can work out what A, B, C and D are worth. So there are your answers revealed. Just counting up 25, 50, 75. Then you don't have to count all the way. You can start at your big markers: 100, 125, 150, 200, 225, 300, 325, 350, 375. And that's how we find the spaces. If you had to go at this challenge, let's talk through it now. This is going to be a bit trickier because we've got 0 and we've got 1. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 10 intervals between 0 and 1. 1 divided by 10 is 0.1. So each interval is worth 0.1 kilograms. So I can count that up. 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. So we will have 0.4 kilograms of sugar. Well done if you work that one out as a challenge. Let's have a look at another kind of question that you might get. Let me just shift this over so that you can see it. Okay. So this is a measuring cylinder. It's got some liquid in it. Hopefully you can see the liquid line is here. We're going to work it out in exactly the same way. So look at what we've got. 0 to 50. So I've got 50 and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps. Okay, so I can write that into my sentence. Okay, there are 5 intervals between 0 and 50. So 50 divided by 5 is 10. Each interval is 10. This scale is going up in 10 and it's millilitres because it says that there. Okay, so if I'm working out how much liquid is in this cylinder, start at 0, I'm going in tens. 10. So there's 10 millilitres of liquid in that particular cylinder. Have a go at these two now. Pause the video, decide what your interval is and decide on the amount shown, and then come back. Right, let's check the answers together. So our interval here, I've got 100 and 200 there. So the difference is 100, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 gaps. 100 divided by 4 is 25. So my intervals are 25 millilitres. My amount shown, if I'm counting up in 25, so I can start at a given amount, 100 and 125 millilitres. Let's look down here. Look at what I know. I've got 3 and I've got 4. That's a gap of 1, and that's split into 1, 2, 3, 4 intervals. 1 dividing by 4 is a quarter, or 0.25 kilograms. So 3, 3.25. So 3.25 would be your answer, or 3 1/4 would also be accurate. Well done if you got those right. Let's have a quick look at some of the questions that you might face today. So we've got this one. Jack pours some dark paint into a container in litres. How much paint is in the container? So you're going to have to look at your scale that goes up here. I've got 3 and I've got 4 and I've got 4 gaps. So it's going to be going up in quarters, or 0.25. And then you're going to have to count backwards for that one to find your answer. Here we've got Amina is shopping. She wants to buy 1/4 kilogram of cheese and write that as a decimal. So you need to think, what's a half as a decimal? What's a quarter as a decimal? Can you write that in? It's less than 1. Here we've got 28 pupils in a class. The teacher has 8 litres. She pours 225 millilitres of orange juice for every pupil. How much will be left over? So we need to know that 8 litres is 8,000 millilitres. Okay. And then we're going to need to multiply that up. So go and have a go. As always, there's easier, there's harder choices to choose from for today's work, and then there is a challenge. And if you need any help, both me and Miss White will be available at 12:10 if you've got any questions. Thank you for watching the lesson today.